Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Maybe there are some Germans over there in power who really start thinking about their own people and not about other people's needs. That I'm not saying to no, not to help others, but help your people first, and then if you have extra, help the other ones. But you don't help the other ones by hurting your own people. And yes, they are my own people and they are your own people. We're not all together in this. Okay, so the Serbs are not in the same boat with, I don't know, with the Albanians, or let's say Romanians are not in the same boat with the French. I mean, how we want to put it? Two different nations, two different people, two different cultures, two different histories, two different identities, two different hearts, brains. That's a lot of things. So what's happening here? It seems like there are some weasels who want to send more weapons to Ukraine, and the Ministry of Defense says no, halt, stop. So what is that all about? Remember the politicians. If politicians are like this in a democracy, when these guys are in power, I'm going to start doing and saying everything what these guys are saying. I'm going to label it as wrong. Even if it's good, I'm going to say it's wrong. Why? Because I have to influence the little fish that's going to vote for me, and then they're going to vote for me. I get over there, and the other guys are going to start yelling everything I do, good or bad, as being bad. That's how it works. This is not the way it should work. It should work in the benefit, those guys going up there should work in the benefit of the nations. So let's see what's going on here. This article comes from European Pravda. Monday, 22nd of August 2022. German Ministry of Defense rejects vows to send Ukraine more weapons. So said, halt, no more. An official representative of the German Ministry of Defense said on Monday that the department has rejected a proposal from the Bundestag MPs from the ruling coalition. Ruling coalition, you know, it's the Liberals and the Conservatives are in the same coalition, imagine. And that's democracy. Great. MPs from the ruling coalition to send Ukraine more weapons and, if necessary, to agree to the weakening of the Bundeswehr. Great. Fantastic. Why don't you do that? And I'm quoting. And this is, I read this before and I said, what are these guys saying here? Indeed, we must be ready for Putin. Could exploit any weakness and even temporary gap in NATO's defense readiness. Deutsche Welle quotes the representative of the German Ministry of Defense. So I'm assuming he said, you know, we can't weaken our army, which, all right, because Putin is an eagle eye, and that's all he's looking for, to see a little gap somewhere, and then he's going to attack and bring his tanks again in Alexanderplatz in Berlin. Great. All right. These guys live in a different world. But nevertheless, this coincides. You have to make it like this kind of story and scenario to defend your right to have your country defended. So you have to say, oh, we can't give you any more weapons because we weaken ourselves, and Putin, that's all he waits to attack us. And nobody can say, you don't want to send weapons to Ukraine anymore? Yeah, because Putin, if he attacks, is going to destroy us. Any gap in NATO alliance, everybody, we're together in this. This is the BS. These guys have to jump through all these hoops instead of saying, no, man, no, I need these weapons for my country and for my people. You take care of your people. When I'm going to have enough, I'm going to give you if I feel like. Fired. Out. Done. That's how it seems to be. He reminded that Germany should provide its alliance partners with, quote-unquote, aid within the limits of obligations, end quote, as provided for in Article 5 of the North Atlantic Treaty. Elsewhere, of the NATO treaty, elsewhere, because of acute threats of... No, what is this? I jumped. Sorry. During the Cold War, and I'm quoting, we would probably have had little understanding if our allies had made cutbacks in collective defensive defense under Article 5 of the NATO treaty elsewhere because of acute theaters of war. And there we, after all, in the world. All right. Added the representative of the German military department. The day before, defense politicians from the Greens, SPD, STD, and FDP had demanded additional arms deliveries to Ukraine from the federal government, even if this could temporarily weaken the Bundeswehr. Unbelievable. Earlier, the German mass media reported that for the past 10 weeks, the German government has been ignoring Ukraine's request for additional arms supplies. So, do you see who's the weasel here? Who's the fifth column? The German mass media calls the politicians. They call them out. Hey, you did not help Ukraine. Shut up, media, and do your job. And your job is not to question those guys why they don't give it to those guys. So it seems like you are on the payroll of someone who wants these guys to give weapons to those guys. You have an agenda. That's how it works. So they're going to trash the government or the officials who do not want to send any more weapons to Ukraine. They're going to trash it. You have the little fish, the voters, the electorate, who most of them, let's recognize, they have below 86, and they say, man, bad dude over there, I'm going to vote him out. And the minority who understands this little weasel game will be outvoted by the rabble, masses. May I say more? I shouldn't. So earlier, the German mass media reported that for the past 10 weeks, the German government has been ignoring, I'm not going to look at you, Ukraine's request for additional arms supplies. And that's a crime, I guess. In late July, it became known that Germany began supplying Gepard anti-aircraft self-propelled artillery units to Ukraine. The German government previously published a list of weapons being prepared for handing over to Ukraine. Just leave us alone, and mass media shut up. And mass media will not, because mass media wants more and more and more. It includes in particular 30 Gepard Spag, Iris T, SLM, air defense systems, and M113 armored personnel carriers. So, this is that. Remember, there's a group, one group. It's very much connected with mass media. That group is like this. You can help them forever. They come and say, hey, help me. And you say, hey, wait a second. I've done that for you yesterday. I've done it for you the day before. Every day I did something for you. And that guy's going to ask you from that group, yeah. But what did you do for me today? Or you didn't do anything for me today yet. Like you're supposed to. Smack, thrown over the big sea, and that's it. You see, that's how it is. Yeah. Put the list over there. We want to know you didn't send, you ignored Ukraine. And your point is what? Oh, you gotta help Ukraine. Why? I don't know, because we say so. Because in the name of freedom, democracy, justice, and sovereignty of other countries, we ignore others, but we take care of this one in particular. Why? Because of Zelensky and Shmihal? Or because the United States is Zelensky's and Shmihal's? I mean, we're not really tards, are we? Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.